I saw the cages, the crying, the smoke. Signed the papers while the innocent choked. They said just follow, but I saw too clear. No freedom thrives when it's soaked in fear. I am not deranged, not lost, not damned. I lit the match with my own hand. If a man must burn to make truth land, I'll be inflamed. I'll be inflamed. They'll say I broke, that I fell apart, but I just stopped lying to my heart.
Hey, Davina, come on up, hon.
If I am ash, I'll seek the ground, so something righteous can grow out.
Well, thanks for sharing, hon.
Deranged, not lost, not damned. I lit the match with my own.
It wouldn't let me push the button for how long?
And for some reason, it wouldn't let me
Sorry.
it wouldn't let me mute and unmute in somebody's live earlier. It was really weird.
This app is so fun.
Isn't it? Hey, Naomi, how's it going? Yes, I've got a doozy of a script today.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going headlong into telling everybody exactly what is in Project 2025, why it fucking matters, and why the whole ICE situation is what it is right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Yeah. I'm probably gonna piss off a lot of people today, and I apologize, but either deal with reality or don't.
I mean, it's a privilege to live in the clouds, so.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
How you feeling though?
Well, I feel like shit, but it's okay. Jojo, if you'd like to come up and join the conversation, you're more than welcome. Let's see. Oh, that's why. Okay.
Guys, I just got 300.
Shush. How are you doing today, Davina?
Oh, pretty good. Can't complain.
Yeah?
I took my kid to the fair last night, and I haven't seen her get excited like that that kid excited in a long time. And I've seen it last night, and it made my heart happy. So
Nice.
I'm happy now.
Hell yeah. Oh, let's see. Jojo, you're welcome to come up if you want. We're going to be having a discussion about this entire topic.
So I've been refraining from making video videos.
Maram, I love you. You got to stop spamming the chat, honey. Let's see. Satan, if you'd like to join the conversation, you can. I'm pulling out all the stops. I'm exposing pretty much everything that's inside of Project 2025, why ICE is the way it is, and how they are intrinsically connected on purpose. Roll. Yeah, you don't have enough followers, bud. Sorry. Hey, Raven, come on up. Hi, Amy, come on up.
Yeah, their profile looked a little interesting.
Yeah, I require people have at least 1,000 followers and at least a gifter badge. So that's how I know you're not trying to just like burn through accounts. Every troll and their grandmother burns through accounts. No worries, Amy. You're on your alt. What was your main?
You know who Shoshi is?
Who? Hey, Aries.
Shoshi. They're 23 gifter level, and they have over 1,000. I just don't know.
Yeah, bring them up.
I don't know who their profile.
I don't even see him on the list. So,
Hello.
welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Hey, how's it going, Shoshi? Can I get your age and pronouns, please?
Okay. Yeah, I'm 29 and my pronouns are they, them.
Thank you very much. Let's
So,
see.
I've been trying to avoid the news, but I heard that they ended birthright citizenship. Can someone explain to me what that means?
So it's not so much that aspect when Donald Trump brought it forth, which means that they didn't shoot it down and they didn't pass it through, which tells me that it's going to get passed through at some point soon.
So does that mean that they're going to deport U.S. citizens?
Oh, they have been already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a feeling that it's...
Can't mute. Can you mute me?
Yeah, I got you. I have a feeling that it's going to be a situation where every U.S. citizen is going to have to reapply for citizenship, and that is $1,500.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. What up, Caveman?
So
Haven't seen you in a while.
Also,
ahead,
I've been
man.
trying to report on locally. Like, I'm in Southern Maryland, and we had an instance where an ICE agent broke the car window. I don't know if anyone heard about that, of someone's car, and it's just, I don't know what else I can do other than report sightings of them and to prevent this from happening.
Well, are you YT?
Sightings of what?
ICE.
Yeah, I'm white.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. The only answer I have for all of that is either make it untenable for them to be around, or full revolution.
Thank you.
But we'll be speaking on it here in just a moment. I have a couple more things to finish up, but if y'all could just hit the taps real quick and get us up to 10K, I'll be starting as soon as we hit 10K. Okay. I've been working on this script for a minute, so please bear with me just a moment.
Oh yeah, I got level 10.
Woohoo! Yeah,
Your
Amy says
background is
block.
perfect.
Thank you. Amy says block the roads so they can't get out. I've seen something really effective in other cities and stuff where they follow the cars. Like if you see the agents in their vehicles, follow them with your own vehicles and honk a lot so people know that they're coming. Also post up in your local groups that you witness them, where you witness them at, where they're at currently. And I've seen whole neighborhoods come and just run them out of town before they even get a chance to take anybody.
Yeah, like the fire departments and everybody, dude, are smashing them down, dude. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to be going hard on them. They should not be allowed to even think that this is something that will be possible.
How in that Sam hell did we get to this point, dude? This is crazy, man.
Oh, I can tell you.
I just.
I can tell you how.
Man.
I can tell you how we got to this point. Okay, so the fall of Nazi Germany happened, right? And the U.S. brought a bunch of scientists and politicians from there to the U.S.
Yep.
And then from there, the parties kind of merged quietly when no one was paying attention, and the Democratic Party was there to soothe the public, and the Republican Party there was to stoke outrage in the public. And they worked together to make laws and pass regulations that made it so easy for the Heritage Foundation to put together Project 2025 and release it to the public where everyone can see it. But of course, no one's going to believe it being possible because it's just some right-wing conservative Republican bullshit. But here we are now, and they are following the track of Project 2025 verbatim. So when it comes right down to it, the fascist takeover that we have right now exists because the Democrats and the Republicans are both fascists.
Yeah.
I'm about to prove it. That's what this whole episode's about. So hold on a minute. I got a whole script to get through, but at the end of it, you will understand what I'm talking about. Aries, that is a fucking great idea, and I suggest anybody who knows how to grab a catalytic converter definitely takes it from ICE vehicles.
For real, I want to learn how to do that because my husband, he's a mechanic, so.
All you got to do is know what it looks like and have a fucking skill saw. Or a sawzall.
Have that
They're
message.
saying both parties are on the same page.
Yes.
And there would be no argument. There would be no fight.
No. So check it out. The reason why they're both on the same page, so it goes like this. The Democratic Party is there to soothe the public and the public's opinion while not getting anything done.
Yep.
While also passing regulations and laws that allow for things like what we've seen happen. And the Republican Party is there to stoke fear and stoke anger and mistrust in each other, right? And that combination, that fear and calm combination, has been working together for like 60 fucking years to produce what we have now.
Right. Correct.
So they're not actually against each other. They just do so publicly to make people feel like they're two different parties, but they're not two different parties. They are the fascist party.
Does the public feel comfortable with this, and does that make them happy?
No. Most of the public doesn't know about this because they're still arguing over which of them is the bad guy, and they're both the bad guy.
Yeah. Like this person down in the comments saying Democrats are the enemy. Yeah, everyone are.
Yeah, Democrats and Republicans are both the enemies. Yes, they are the same party.
So can I say something? Can I say something really mean here?
Go ahead.
I mean, this is awful.
Okay, go ahead.
Is that
Okay.
we have leaders and we have followers in this country, or just hold up, just in human nature. People either are content to just be told what to do, and you have a small population of saying, I'm not going to take this, I'm going to do whatever. So, are you saying that there's a cahoots between these parties? Is that what you're saying? And like,
absolutely, unequivocally, without question, yeah.
All politicians are in it for one reason, and that's to benefit themselves and each other.
Exactly.
I used to think that Bernie was on people's sides, but then I found out that he has condoned genocide. So,
yep.
I mean, all of them.
And plus, he's a billionaire. Yeah, and I also found out Kamala
genocide
didn't really do anything or say anything against, the genocide overseas either. So, basically, we were just choosing between the lesser of two evils.
So, to answer your question, Caveman, he condoned the genocide in Palestine by saying that Israel has a right to defend itself. Which, don't get me wrong, anybody has the right to defend yourself, but it's not self-defense if you are murdering an entire population.
Exactly. It's really not. It's literally just attack. Just to attack. Loon, I found out F1 doesn't
Sorry.
work anymore on
Ooh,
lives.
what's the new thing?
Sorry. I forgot what was the new thing, but the other lives that I was on.
TikTok Shop and Fruit, yeah.
Yeah, Fruit and TikTok Shop. And, yeah, but like they said, the
F1
F1
can draw
doesn't
people
work
to.
anymore.
They say supposedly it could draw like the bots or the AI, whatever's to the live now.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
what's up, man? I see you down there, Dwayne.
Did you want me to drop down?
No. I'm gonna make more boxes. Give me just 1 second.
Okay.
Hey, so are we at a point where it's every man for himself?
No, God, no. No, we're at a point for
Not
community.
necessarily. Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're bigger than the government.
Hold up. So that's
It's
actually
a lot more of
interesting.
us.
So you're
It's
saying
a lot more of us.
Hold on, Raven. Let us say it.
So every man for himself, but then you say community. So,
I did not say every man for himself. We are definitely not at a spot for every man for himself.
I said that. Okay. So obviously government is failing every man for himself. But then you want to go back to community. So how do you unite or group people together to make a community?
By building community, like what I've been doing here for years.
Right. So that's government again.
No.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
How is that government?
What is your establishment? What is it that makes me want to join your society, your community?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I have a question. Did I at all ever ask for a recruitment into community?
Well,
no, I didn't. Okay. Also, another question. Does your say your local neighborhood, is your local neighborhood a government?
No.
Okay. Your neighborhood is a community.
But if none of us like each other and there's no rule,
oh, that's the fun part.
Is that whatever you want?
That's the fun part. Is community doesn't have to like each other. We just have to have the same goal, which is not falling to fascism.
So who's going to enforce the rule of no fascism?
Force the rule of no fascism? Hopefully nobody will have to force it.
Wait. No, who's going to enforce that rule?
All of us.
The community is a community.
So you're entrusting your fellow neighbor to
yes.
Yeah.
The whole point of community is grouping together to get things done. I mean, if people start supporting fascism, you just remove those people.
Yeah.
Because you don't want that in your community. Like, that's a group decision. Don't join a community of people who support fascism and you'll be all good.
And then what happens? So where do they go if they don't?
Somewhere else.
They'll figure it out on their own.
I'm not trying to be a smartass. I'm just literally trying to ask. Like,
if someone in your community, hold on. If somebody in your community is promoting fascism, you out them locally and publicly, and your community makes a census or has a vote and makes a decision as to whether or not this person should be allowed to stay. And if they're not allowed to stay, they go some fucking where else.
To Iran?
No, God, no. We're not trying to deport people. We're not Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's just like if somebody lived in your house and constantly left stuff all over and you told them not to do that or they'd have to leave and then you kicked them out, they wouldn't automatically have to go to another country or another state. They just wouldn't be allowed in your area, if that makes sense.
Daniel says you don't know your local congressman. Yes, I do.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to dox myself by telling you my local congressman. No. All right. So we hit 10K. If I can get everybody to mute up, I'm going to go ahead and start the episode.
Fire it up, bro.
All right. Everybody go on mute real quick. I'm going to go ahead and fire up the episode. Let me pause this music real quick. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Interviewing Humanity. As always, I'm your host, Sludge Knuckle, and tonight we're ripping off the mask of the most dangerous blueprints for tyranny the U.S. has ever seen, Project 2025. But we're not stopping there. We're going to drag into the light the machinery that Project 2025 counts on to keep you afraid, silent, and under control, which is the ICE detention system, a system that profits off human misery while feeding the beast of authoritarianism. Now, let's be clear from the outset. Project 2025 isn't just a policy document. It's a roadmap for dismantling democracy. It's a plan drawn up in back rooms by billionaires, think tanks, and political loyalty, where the president rules unchecked and where dissent is crushed before it can even take root. This is not some distant theoretical threat. The people behind Project 2025 have been laying the groundwork for years, stacking the courts, funneling money into campaigns, and writing the playbook for a government that answers to the few and controls the many. And what do they need to make it work? They need enforcement. They need fear. They need a system that can turn neighbors into suspects, families into targets, and communities into zones of control. Enter ICE, the detention machine that already cages tens of thousands of people every day at a cost of billions to taxpayers and a windfall to private prison companies. ICE detention centers aren't just about immigration. They're about sending a message that no one is safe, that the government's power knows no limits, and that the resistance will be met with chains. Tonight, we're connecting the dots between Project 2025 and ICE's detention empire. We'll explore how the blueprint for authoritarian rule depends on infrastructure of mass incarceration. We'll expose the corporations cashing in, the politicians enabling it, and the human beings caught in the middle. And we'll ask the hardest questions of all. What are we going to do about it? Because if we don't fight back, we're not just losing rights, we're losing the very idea that could be America. So buckle up. This episode isn't for the faint of heart, but if you care about justice, truth, and the future of democracy, it's a conversation we have to have. So let's get into it. First things first, the architects behind Project 2025. Project 2025 is not the product of a grassroots movement. It's the brainchild of the Heritage Foundation, which has been bankrolled by billionaire donors, corporate interests, and extremist networks intent on reshaping America in their image. Behind the glossy policy proposals are familiar names: the Coors family, the Koch affiliates, Leonard Leo's Dark Money Network, all groups that have long worked to dismantle social protections and civil rights. Their aim? Consolidate power at the top and make government work for profit, not for people. The ICE detention system fits perfectly into this agenda. The private prison giants like GEO Group and CoreCivic sit at the heart of this machine. These corporations rake in billions of dollars from contracts to cage immigrants, asylum seekers, and those caught in aggressive enforcement dragnets. They don't just wait for contracts, they lobby for the laws. They fund the campaigns, they write the policies that keep their beds full. Local governments join in, hooked on the cash flow ICE detention spring, defending facilities not for safety, but for profit. Former ICE officials move on to executive or lobbying roles at these companies, bringing insider knowledge that locks in deals. Private prison lobbyists push Congress and the White House to grow the detention state. Project 2025 is their dream child. Loyalty rewarded, dissent punished, and mass incarceration machinery made permanent. So I got some questions. My first question I'll take down to Dwayne down at the bottom. When you think of government, do you imagine private companies making billions off of human suffering?
Yeah, that's pretty much the way the government's always been. I mean, you don't have to go much further than the residential schools on the Native American reservations to see how people can be incarcerated so that other people can make money. Oh boy, you caught me in the middle of a sneezing fit. But yeah, it's just really when people see that 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 you can have people locked up and other people can make money. It just really it's just going to be what's the word I'm looking for? You're gonna make. I mean, it's really as opposed to conquering people versus taking people's land away. Which I mean, for me, the deeper meaning for the ICE raids and everything is you see what the ICE agents would do to us if they were given the chance. That, you would see how they would treat American citizens if they given the opportunity. That's the most disturbing part for me.
Okay, thank you very much. Loon, when you think of government, do you imagine private companies making billions off human suffering?
That's low key all they are at this point. Like, they're not protecting our rights, which is kind of what they're supposed to do in the first place. They don't check and balance each other. They don't make good connections nationally, like with other countries on a larger scale. So they kind of don't do anything else at this point besides like tax us excessively and threaten us.
Okay, thank you very much. Jojo, when you think of government, do you imagine private companies making billions off human suffering? Jojo? You might have to tap your picture to find the mute button. All right, well, I'll move on to Raven. Raven, when you think of government, do you imagine private companies making billions off human suffering?
Say the first part again. Sorry.
When you think of government, do you imagine private companies making billions off human suffering?
Well, yes, of course, because I think some of them haven't let go of, like their stocks and stuff like that. And, like they've hidden away most of, like the money that they've had, and like they haven't given it up or anything like that, just so they can have more money and more influence.
Okay, thank you very much. Caveman, when you think of
Thank you.
government, you imagine private companies making billions off human suffering.
No. So, because I think government and business is totally different now versus government with the Rockefellers and the younger industrialization of this country. So I think government is a totally different entity, and I think government itself is what's trying to destroy this country, and not business and not people. But I think it's just strictly the government.
Can you
So
name one government official that isn't affiliated with billionaires?
affiliated personally, no, because I don't think there is, other than Donald Trump himself. Which this is where this shit gets crazy, is because he is the infiltrator. He is the man taking over the government. He this is a totally different ball game now.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
How is Donald Trump not affiliated with billionaires? At his inauguration, he had 4 of them standing behind him, between him and his cabinet.
He is the billionaire. So we actually, the government, we had actually fought for so long to get them out, and he has duped and sold to get them back in. He is he is he is the devil. He is.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much. Shoshi, when you think of government, do you imagine private companies making billions off human suffering?
Yes, I am a victim and lost folks to the opioid crisis. So I think that Big Pharma controls this country, and I think that the automotive industry controls this country.
Thank you very much. And Davina, when you think of government, do you imagine private companies making billions off human suffering?
Absolutely. I do. And then look at our prison systems. Just everything. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And back down to Dwayne, if you're still there. How does it feel knowing billionaires and corporations shape policies that impact your life directly? All right, we'll move on to Loon. How does it feel knowing billionaires and corporations shape policies that impact your life directly?
Exhausting, honestly. Like, at least back in the good old days, quote unquote, they used to like build libraries because they could brag about it. Now it's just like they literally get up on stage and brag about stealing money from like poor people. It's kind of weird.
Thank you very much. Jojo, are you available to answer now?
Yes, got
Okay.
my mic all fixed.
Okay. How does it feel knowing billionaires and corporations shape policies that impact your life directly?
It's frustrating, infuriating, because it doesn't have to be that way.
Okay. Thank you very much. Raven, how does it feel knowing billionaires and corporations shape policies that impact your life directly?
It's actually pretty. I want to say, feels like it's like everyday life, for me.
Yeah.
I've become a little bit numb to
That makes
it.
sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Caveman, how does it
Thank
feel?
you,
How does it feel knowing billionaires and corporations shape policies that impact your life directly?
They don't. You know why?
Why?
Because me and my wife and my family, we used to be business owners, got rid of it all. We become minimalist. And when you become a minimalist, you don't need a lot of money. You don't need no assistance. You need macaroni and cheese. You have a camper. You have a truck. You got to pay for some gas just to cruise around the world. I don't want to say we're gypsies, but literally, if you defeat them by just not needing to play in their game, you win. Right?
Right. So you're saying that you don't fall subject to any laws or policies that are passed in nationwide or in your area at all?
Other than the speed limit and thou shalt not
No,
murder your neighbor. Yeah.
it's okay. You can be
don't.
hungry.
Yeah. You don't need any of it. Nothing.
That's okay. You just gotta be hungry.
Who's gonna be hungry?
Your family.
Why?
If I may, I'm going to continue on. Shoshi, how does it feel knowing billionaires and corporations shape policies that impact your life directly?
It's pathetic.
Give us a minute, Sashi. Shoshi?
Are you asking me? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so like I said, I've lost folks and had struggled with addiction because of opioids, and it feels stuck. Like it's really hard to come off of it. It was terrible. It was an awful experience, and they just want to give us more drugs and say that's going to help, but it just makes your life worse, and it just feels like we're constantly treated like lab rats.
Yeah.
Honest.
Okay. Thank you very much. And Davina, how does it feel knowing billionaires and corporations shape policies that impact your life directly?
I don't know what it was. Doesn't feel like, because I've kind of known this forever since I was an adult. So, I guess it's just what I've always.
Davina, I'm not even trying to interrupt. It's the fact that the service hasn't been acknowledged. The host is trying to just skip from one story to the other. With no context.
You're interrupting though. I know you're trying not to, but you are. Okay.
And Sasha, I don't know if you've been on the platform. It's just you'll see how the live kind of operates in just a minute. Just Sledge goes to person, asks the question, and then at the end we'll all be able to like have an open conversation.
Yes, this is an educational platform, first and foremost, not a debate platform. I will get through the information and ask questions at the end of each segment, and then at the end of the educational portion, it is open discussion. People can talk at will how they please. But first comes the education part, if you don't mind. And by the way, it is your turn to answer the question, if you don't mind. How does it feel knowing billionaires and corporations shape policies that impact your life directly? Someone send an invite for them to turn on their microphone, please. Thank you.
I don't know if it
No?
allows. I don't know how to do it on yours, but
I sent the invite, but also
I tried.
Okay.
yeah, if
Well,
you're having any trouble with unmuting Sachi, I had that problem earlier and I had to restart my phone and come back. So if it's not letting you click any buttons or anything like that, a quick restart should help that out, and then we can go ahead and bring you back.
yeah, I will leave a box open for you. Okay. In the meantime, let's talk about the blueprint of Project 2025. Project 2025's authoritarian playbook goes like this. Lays out a plan for mass firings of federal employees, which we've seen happen, stripping away civil service protections so that thousands of loyalists can be instilled, which we've seen happen. It calls for extreme concentration of executive power, which we have seen happen by dismantling independent agencies, curbing the courts, and ensuring that the presidency can rule unchecked. This is not just governance, this is a blueprint for autocracy. Mass deportation programs and expanded surveillance of citizens and non-citizens alike are core to this vision, using fear and force to cement control. ICE has become the enforcement muscle for this agenda. In 2024, it received a record $3.4 billion for detention alone, higher than under any prior administration. This money flows into contracts for private jails run by GEO Group and Core Civic and their allies. These contracts include occupancy guarantees and sweetheart terms that ensure private profits, regardless of actual need. The bigger the detention budget, the richer these corporations and their shareholders become. The so-called Schedule F plan would let the president replace tens of thousands of civil servants with loyalists pretty much overnight. Combined with plans for mass ICE raids and detentions, this creates an environment of terror and compliance. The government under Project 2025 doesn't just enforce laws, it uses the machinery of mass incarceration to crush resistance and silence dissent, with ICE's network of detention centers ready to cage tens of thousands more. So, first question, and I'll take this up to Davina. What does it say that ICE funding grew under both parties?
it says that this is America. It's yeah. I mean, it just shows how it's not one party or the other. It's literally this government. It's white supremacy.
Okay, thank you very much. Shoshi, what does it say that ICE funding grew under both parties?
I can't speak to it because I have never seen it at this level under, because like it's like I feel like I've been under Democratic parties like for a while, and it hasn't been as intense. I know it has been going on within the Democratic Party, but they seem like they have due process and they're not just like snatching people up in the streets like before. But I can't speak to it because I haven't like experienced it at the level that I like where I'm actually witnessing as much as I have been recently under Republican, presidency.
Okay, thank you very much. Caveman, what does it say that ICE funding grew under both parties?
I would say that it's absolutely correct. Everything that's going on is what you're saying it is. I will say this: don't live in fear. This is
I
a
don't.
repeat of history,
Mhm.
and good versus evil, we always win. So we're going to go again with a hierarchy. Could be government and your kings or queens or whatever, and we're suppressed. And this is what they're doing, and it will fail. They will fail, and
I
it'll be
agree.
fine.
I agree.
Yeah.
Fascism can never win.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Raven, what does it say that ICE funding grew under both parties?
Say it again. Sorry.
What does it say that ICE funding grew under both parties?
Let's say that they're the same thing. They're the same party. I've known this for a long time. It's like pretty inhumane the way that they're treating those people, and like I've experienced my fair share of suffering, but like not to that extent, because I just it's heartbreaking, basically.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jojo, what does it say that ICE funding grew under both parties?
It says that they are afraid to be truthful to the masses, the people that don't know, just what I call the citizens, not that we're not, but the citizens. And they're afraid. Everybody's just fearful as far as the whole clump of them moving that way. And they can't imagine standing up and doing anything differently than just trying to kind of tuck down and, walk carefully and don't make a hubbub. And it's just a lot of fear. It's what I see. I don't have fear.
Good. Should not be afraid. Thank you very much, Jojo. Loon. Loon, what does it say that ICE funding grew under both parties?
That it wasn't stopped by either. Whether one party is outwardly doing it or not, the fact that the other isn't speaking up as much as they should be or trying to do anything legislation-wise says a lot.
It does. It does. Thank you very much. Sachi, if you're available to answer, what does it say that ICE funding grew under both parties? Is Sachi still with us? I can't tell.
The mic is off.
Yeah, it looks like they're teacupped. That's okay. Kuriyami, hey, welcome in. What does it say that ICE funding grew under both parties? Aww. Okay. No worries. Back up to the top. Davina, should corporations profit from locking people up?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
And that includes industrial, correctional industries. Like, they shouldn't profit either.
Okay. Thank you very much. Shoshi, should corporations profit from locking people up?
Absolutely not. I'm completely against for-profit prisons. I was in one in Florida. They kept me there as long as possible because the longer you're there, I wasn't in prison, I was in jail, but the longer you're there, the more money they get, and there wasn't necessary to hold me for that long.
Okay. Damn it! Sorry, I pushed the wrong button. That was not directed at you at all. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say that was shiesty.
Nope, that was the unmute button. The unmute button and the dumb shit button are right next to each other. I'm sorry, that was entirely unintentional.
No apology needed.
I'm so sorry, Shoshi. Caveman, should corporations profit from locking people up?
This is a really catch-22, man. So, like, either you do it by the state or the city you're in, which costs taxpayers, you're paying them, or I don't know, man. I just really don't know.
Okay. I won't press.
I'd rather just stay off this one, man, because it's going to turn into an argument.
Okay. I will not press on that. Raven, should corporations profit from locking people up?
Absolutely the fuck not. Sorry,
Thank you.
didn't mean to offend anybody, but absolutely the fuck not.
Thank you very much. Jojo, should corporations profit from locking people up?
No, they don't need to profit. If there is money moving, it doesn't have to be a profit for some. The way I see the money moving is that it should all come back to everyone, including the incarcerated, to help them better their lives. And there should be no one's well-being put over anyone else's.
Thank you very much. To answer your question, Soma, the answer is GEO Group, Core Civic, and a handful of others. Let's see. Loon, should corporations profit from locking people up?
Absolutely not. I agree with everyone so far. It's been proven and is currently being reproven to incentivize people to just punish whoever.
Thank you very much. And Sachi, are you available to answer now? I see that you're back from teacupping. Let's see, send an invite. Sachi, I would like your input if you don't mind.
I'm not seeing Sachi up on panel. Is anybody else seeing them?
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Davina, how do mass detention and expanded executive power affect civil rights?
Can you repeat it again? I'm sorry.
Yeah. How do mass detention and expanded executive powers affect civil rights?
You don't have civil rights when you're at risk of being kidnapped and forced into imprisonment.
Okay, thank you. Shoshi, how do mass detention and expanded executive powers affect civil rights?
Well, I think in California they are using the prisoners for firefighters, and they're like paying them like pennies. So that's like slave labor basically. And also additionally, there's research done that a lot of these folks that are getting arrested are people who have disabilities. So it's not fair to them. They are wrongly imprisoned a lot, and yeah, so that's against civil rights as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Caveman, how do mass detention and expanded executive powers affect civil rights?
I gotta be honest with you, Sludge. I just love listening to you talk to, but that right there was a perfect, argument between private, company-owned, prison stuff and public. So now you have your public and you're forcing them to fight fires, or do you have that public or company owned to where they're just keeping you there? I mean, that was slick, dude. I like it. I do.
So do you have an answer?
No, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I think that was a great segue into that.
Okay. I won't push. Raven, how do mass detention and expanded executive power affect civil rights?
It affects it in a negative way. Like, basically, it treads on it. I'm sorry, Caveman. What's so funny?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, it treads on it, basically. Um, it literally violates civil rights.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Jojo, how do mass detention and expanded executive powers affect civil rights?
Well, if you think of before of whatever, however you imaged things before as a snuffing of civil rights, with the executive power added in with the private corporations, it's like an iron girder beam crashing civil rights. It's harmful. Uh, it's worse than harmful. It's violent, and it just can't be accepted.
Thank you very much. And Loon, how do mass detention and expanded executive powers affect civil rights?
It starts turning what was supposed to be a pretty clear line of what should and shouldn't happen into this odd gray area. And while it already wasn't okay what was happening, it's now expanding into everything else.
Okay. Thank you very much. And next, we're going to start talking about who profits and who pays for these things. So, first, the financial winners. Private prison executives and shareholders rake in billions thanks to ICE contracts. Companies like GEO Group and CoreCivic lock in profits through guaranteed occupancy clauses and multi-year deals. Their stock prices soar with every policy shift that promises more detention. Local governments that host detention centers collect revenue that props up their budgets, turning detention into an economic lifeline for some communities, even as they ignore the human cost. Politicians who push tough on immigration policies reap campaign donations and PAC support from these industries, creating a self-sustaining cycle of profit and policy. Meanwhile, private equity funds and REIT investors quietly cash in on the steady stream of government payments, betting on misery as a stable source of return. These financial winners are shielded by layers of bureaucracy, lobbying muscle, and political cover, making it hard for the public to see who's really cashing in. And the price of this profit, well, it's human lives. Detainees suffer preventable deaths, medical neglect, solitary confinement, and abuse. And these deaths are not rare accidents. They are the predictable result of a system that cuts cost on medical care, ignores safety, and prioritizes profit over people. Families are torn apart, with children traumatized and communities destabilized. People live in constant fear of raids, detention, and deportation. And even if they have legal status, the system treats human beings as commodities, bodies to fill beds and generate income, with little regard for dignity, health, or justice. Whistleblower reports, lawsuits, and watchdog investigations have documented these abuses, but accountability remains rare. The politics of tough on immigration fuel the machinery. Fear-based narratives win votes, justify massive detention budgets, and deflect attention from systemic failures like poverty, inequality, and crumbling public services. Politicians use immigrants as scapegoats to distract from deeper issues, and in doing so, normalize mass incarceration as a tool of governance. Meanwhile, those most harmed, immigrants, asylum seekers, people of color, and increasingly activists, are silenced, scapegoated, or labeled threats to national security. The media often reinforces these frames, making resistance harder and feeding public acceptance of cruelty as policy. So I'm gonna skip over a moment here, and I want to talk about the abuses and their purposes, because I feel like this is kind of important. First, human rights. Preventable death, solitary confinement, sexual abuse, and medical neglect are not outliers in ICE detention. They are part of a systemic failure woven into the very fabric of the detention state. Detainees die from untreated illnesses, botched medical care, or self-unalivement after being subjected to inhumane conditions that would shame even the most brutal prison regimes. Solitary is often used punitively, with people locked away for minor infractions, for protesting conditions, or simply for being LGBTQ, inflicting severe psychological harm and violating international human rights standards. Sexual violence, both from guards and other detainees, persists with impunity. Many victims are too afraid to report assaults, knowing that complaints often lead to retaliation or further isolation. These abuses reflect a culture that sees detained people as disposable, not as human beings with rights, but as bodies to control, punish, and exploit for profit. ICE's mission has expanded far beyond immigration enforcement. Under hardline policies, it has been weaponized as a tool to target protesters, journalists, and yes, even U.S. citizens, blurring the line between immigration control and outright political repression. Cases of mistaken detentions of citizens or ICE's role in suppressing protests with militarized tactics expose the darker purpose of the detention infrastructure, which is to stifle dissent, chill free speech, and intimidate entire communities. The spectacle of federal agents snatching people off the streets during protests or holding citizens on baseless detainers serves to send a message that resistance carries a price and no one is beyond their reach. Beyond individual abuses, the system functions as a spectacle of deterrence designed to terrorize communities into submission. Publicized raids, mass arrests, and brutal detention conditions are not just policy, they are political theater meant to instill fear and suppress resistance. Project 2025 amplifies this dynamic, embedding the detention state deeper into the machinery of control and elevating ICE from an enforcement agency to a symbol of unchallengeable authority. The message is clear. Dissent will be punished, solidarity will be surveilled, and the machinery of fear will keep turning until we stop it. So my first question, and I'll take this to Davina, is mass detention about safety or sending a political message, in your opinion?
Mass attention is about profit. So I guess it could be, political. Yeah, I would say it's for profit.
Okay, thank you very much. Shoshi, is mass detention about safety or sending a political message, in your opinion?
I think it's about sending the political message, and I think that it spreads. I think you talked about this before. It makes these fearmongers believe that these folks who are getting detained are their enemies and they're their neighbors. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Raven, is mass detention about safety or sending a political message, in your opinion?
I think it's about just the propaganda, the message. While I understand about safety, they're going about it the wrong way. Literally, if you look at, like the majority of the crime that's happening, like I think we should, they be trying to regulate crime here instead of like what's on the other side,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Jojo, is mass detention about safety or sending a political message, in your opinion?
Definitely about sending a political message. And it's not just to the immediate public and the American citizens and asylum seekers and all the people around us. It's, even though I know that people in Great Britain and in Sweden and Finland, if a bunch of them sat down and thought about it, they would know that if their leaders were doing that, all the people aren't behind it. So I know that some people know that we're not all little Donetta Trumps and Donald Trumps. We're not that. But I think it's really obscuring our relationship with our allies for us to allow this to happen.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Jojo. Loon, is mass detention about safety or sending a political message, in your opinion?
One more time, please. Sorry.
Is mass detention about safety or sending a political message, in your opinion?
It's definitely about sending a political message, but it's also about fueling our least favorite monster, capitalism.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Davina, how do you feel knowing U.S. citizens have been jailed by ICE?
I mean, it's not surprising. It's just like, I just wish we would have done more sooner because this isn't something that's been unexpected.
Absolutely. Shoshi, how do you feel knowing U.S. citizens have been jailed by ICE?
So my grandmother came here from Ukraine to escape the Holocaust, and I'm just noticing like it triggers my PTSD, like that's inherent. That it's seeing a similar pattern here. That like these folks are being snatched up and put in, especially looking at the detention centers in El Salvador. It really scares me. It makes me very uncomfortable.
Okay. Thank you very much. Raven, how do you feel knowing U.S. citizens have been jailed by ICE?
I'm heartbroken. All I can think about is like they don't have any empathy. Like, how can they like jail people like that? How can they jail children, babies? How can they jail the elderly like that? Like, I also like just look at how it's basically another form of how they've done black people, but like I feel like it's a different form.
Absolutely. And thank you very much, Raven.
Thank you.
Jojo, how do you feel knowing U.S. citizens have been jailed by ICE?
I feel like it's happened enough now in these last weeks that I know that I'm on high alert. I was in an IKEA store, they're gigantic, and this piercing, deafening sound started going off in the store. And for me, I got down in a corner and put my earbuds in and then watched to see what was happening. And then I saw everybody else was leaving. So I thought, well, leaving is probably a good thing. And as I started moving and saw that, the employees in the store were just standing at their stations, they weren't being mean or sweet or anything. They were just standing there saying, move this way, move this way. And then I just immediately started looking for any individuals or families that might need help. I've got a tall blonde hair, blue eyes, and, can look a little bit old. And I wanted to intervene, and I didn't have a clear plan. But I think that there are, there's some of us that are in a position where they're either because we're old and who the fuck cares. I mean, don't mess with old people, and I'm still strong. I ride my mountain bike and all that, but you know what I'm saying. And I just think that we need to have plans for how to non-violently intervene, just not let that happen, not let those people be taken.
Absolutely. And on that note, I will suggest that you talk with your neighbors, talk with your community, and formulate plans. Start creating plans and start enacting those plans as soon as possible. Thank you very much. Welcome in, Unscripted. I'll ask you before I go on to Loon. How do you feel knowing that U.S. citizens have been jailed by Immigration's Customs Enforcement?
I actually want to go back to your previous question. I don't know if you saw that I was answering in the chat.
Okay. Is mass detention about safety or sending a political message, in your opinion?
I think it's both. And why I say it's both, it's about maintaining the illusion of safety and maintaining control over the narrative that only US citizens who they decide can be citizens, only who they decide can belong, can be safe.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And it is political control over the illusion of safety, the illusion of who can belong, and the illusion of essentially this broken American dream.
Yeah.
But the fact that US citizens are being detained ties into it. And it's all interlinked into who is human, who can be considered human, and who can be considered alien.
Thank you very much. Loon, how do you feel knowing U.S. citizens have been jailed by ICE?
Honestly, a lot of the time, I say I'm like not surprised, but I'm disappointed. But honestly, you had to have expected better to be disappointed, I feel like. And I really didn't. I just am like, great. It's still happening. Nothing's changed. Still being not even let down, because to be let down, you have to expect better. I didn't expect better. You know? I haven't for a long time. So, I don't know, I guess kind of numb, annoyed, angry, you know? But I was, like, when it all started, it was a lot more surprising.
Okay. Thank you very much. Davina, what's it going to take to stop the abuse?
Resistance, revolt. It's going to take community. It's going to take people to have the courage to do what's right instead of what's comfortable.
Thank you very much. Shoshi, what's it going to take to stop the abuse?
So I agree, it's community. And I know we've talked about how the parties aren't like gonna help with that, and it's more about like the citizens. But I did attend the No Kings protest in Philadelphia, and my representative was one of the people speaking there, Jamie Raskin. And I do think that these politicians can have some power in changing these policies, especially like also with the mayor, the governor of Maryland has also been trying to protect citizens here as well. So I think that putting the stress more on our politicians can also help. I know that not everyone believes that, but yeah, that's what I think.
Okay. Thank you very much. Unscripted, what's it going to take to stop the abuse?
A total overhaul of the system. And, somebody mentioned a nonviolent way. I would love for revolution to be nonviolent. But if it gets to that, I think the US needs to be prepared. US citizens need to be prepared. If you're black, brown, woman, trans, any sort of queer, you need to learn how to protect yourself. Go to the range. Start practicing now. Because the US has reached critical mass. It is about community organizing. It is about protecting each other as a people. And politicians do have the power. They just don't want to. And it's not about Democrat or Republican. It is, they're two sides of the same coin.
Yes, they are.
So I'm going to advise you, start going to the range.
Thank you very much, Unscripted. Raven, what's it going to take to stop this abuse?
Basically, I agree with what everyone else was saying. Like, we do need to rise up and actually come together, because all of this race politics or politics in general, like left versus right, like
Mm-hmm.
it's frustrating, and of course it's something that we have to deal with, but we also need to think about the fact that literally billionaires can cure homelessness, but they won't.
Mm-hmm.
They can just take like a chunk of what they make in a day and cure homelessness.
Yeah.
So I think it's like very, very unusual and very evil, and I'm feeling a little bit of nihilism at the moment.
That is an understandable reaction.
Yeah.
Just know you're not alone and that you are loved. And thank you very much, Raven. Jojo,
Love you.
what's it going to take to stop this abuse?
Well, as you mentioned before, organization and taking that step, that kind of terrifying at times step, to knock on your neighbor's door and, hey, so I see you down there in the parking lot, you know, and then just go into the conversation. What have you thought about? And I think you'll get an answer. They'll either be shocked and like, get the fuck out of here. They wouldn't say that, but I mean, or they'll say, I know, and then divulge something or some loved ones or just people they work with or somebody that they're concerned about. So I think that talking, and definitely being prepared. I personally am trying to stay not incarcerated because I'm very mobile, and have a lot of skills of things that hopefully wouldn't get me incarcerated. And that could go in a second. That could be just a dream that I'm not. But I would like to be able to intervene as strongly and effectively as possible and not end up being incarcerated, so that I could be available to help people get from one place to another. And I think we should start talking to our families that live a few hours away or 6 hours away, or our friends, or whoever, for just to kind of have a network of where can people go.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Jojo. Loon, what's it going to take to stop this abuse?
A lot of work, a lot of education, and abolition.
Hear, hear. So let's talk about the future of if Project 2025 and the detention state wins. This is going to be an ugly part of the conversation. So first thing we're looking at is the end of civil service neutrality. Project 2025 would not merely damage the professional civic service, it would erase it entirely. Neutrality would be replaced by loyalty tests, where every government worker is expected to serve not the Constitution, but the will of a ruling faction. Independent expertise would be discarded in favor of sycophancy. I don't even remember how to pronounce that word. Yeah, this would enable the transformation of agencies like ICE into instruments of raw political power. The destruction of institutional memory would ensure no one inside government remembers how to say no to unlawful orders, creating a hollowed-out state ready to do the bidding of authoritarian rulers. And power would no longer flow from the people, but from an elite determined to hold it at any cost. Surveillance would reach deeper into every corner of life. Your phone calls, your posts, your gatherings, your movements, all tracked and recorded under the guise of security. Arrests wouldn't require evidence of a crime, only evidence of disloyalty. The courts would be packed, the press silenced through intimidation or co-option, and protests met not with dialogue, but with mass detentions. Managed democracy would become managed tyranny, where public rituals of voting mask the absence of real choice. ICE detention centers would evolve into something far darker than even today's abuses. They would no longer pretend to be about immigration. They would stand as monuments to repression. Political opponents, whistleblowers, union organizers, indigenous water protectors, climate activists, and journalists who challenge the narrative can all find themselves inside. The machinery of mass incarceration would run with ruthless efficiency, invisible to those not targeted, but omnipresent in the lives of those who dare resist. The fear of detention would seep into daily life, silencing conversations, dissolving solidarity, and making neighbors into informants. Davina, what happens when private profiteers and government work together to police us?
I mean, any freedoms we may have had, or what we thought were freedoms, will no longer exist, and we could be. I mean, it would just be labor. That's all.
Thank you. Shoshi, what happens when private profiteers and government work together to police us?
So, my mom's a photojournalist, and we got raided by the FBI back in like 2007. They confiscated all of my mom's cameras. So you're right. They're gonna silence the journalists. They're gonna silence the reporters. And people are going to, be mass incarcerated, as you said. So, yeah.
Thank you. Unscripted, what happens when private profiteers and governments work together to police the population?
I don't know if anybody here reads or plays Warhammer. So I read the books, and in one of the Horus Heresy books, Galaxy in Flames, they gather all of the remembrances, the journalists, into one room to watch the absolute destruction of an entire planet. And then they unalive the remembrances. And going back to Star Wars, this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause. We see the links in the fiction we read. We see the links in how our stories are told. And as a journalist, as somebody who wasn't allowed into the States, who was literally banned, as somebody who was beaten up and deported by the IDF, the reason they don't want our stories told is because they don't want people in the know. They want a placid working force. We need to educate. We need to educate among ourselves.
Yes, we do.
And so, how do I put this? Oh, the reason that the Cuban Revolution took so long to get off the ground was because people were going into the villages, not giving people arms, not giving people pew-pews. They were doing that, definitely. They were training. But that wasn't the first step. The first step was giving people pen and paper and educating them on what is actually going on with their government. Education is the foundation of what needs to be done.
I agree wholeheartedly.
There is a book by Lenin called What Is to Be Done? And I suggest that everybody read it.
Thank you, Unscripted.
And with that, I need to start getting ready for this wedding. Yeah, and I give you all a little bit of a break and show you something pretty.
Yes, please.
Can I show you something pretty?
Yes, please. Wow, that is beautiful work. I'm going to make that big real quick. Make that big.
Yeah, I saw it earlier and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to
Oh,
see it again.
wow.
Because
Oh,
it's
how
so
lovely.
beautiful. I swear, it's
Wow.
so beautiful. And oh gosh.
That is such good work. Oh my God.
Thank
And
you.
oh my gosh.
Thank you so much for that, Unscripted.
And
Thank you
you
so
know,
much.
I always say we have so much to live for. We have so much to fight for. Art is one of them. Like the fact that I'm going to my nephew's wedding. The fact that he is so happy, and I was literally at the hospital the day this kid was born. I was young, but I saw him grow from this little shy kid to a person who made a speech at the event yesterday,
Oh,
talking about how much he loves his bride to be and how grateful he is to his family for the education and love he's received. And that is what we fight for. We don't just fight for free borders. We don't just fight for like equality, like economic equality and social equality and all of that. We fight for everyday stories. And we need to remember what is at the heart of what we fight for. And that is for people to exist freely, the way they want to, the way we want to.
Hear, hear. Hear, hear.
And I'm going to quote Che before I go. Che Guevara said, the true revolutionary, is guided by immense feelings of love.
Thank you.
The love.
Yay.
It is
Absolutely.
absolutely the love for people, the love for community, the love for humanity is what drives us. So never forget that.
I love you so much.
Thank you so much, Unscripted.
Cheers.
I will move to the next question because I feel like that was answered more than sufficiently for the audience. Davina, if detained without cause, who defends you under this system?
You do? Like, you as a person, like, you have to defend you, like, hopefully community if you're able to contact somebody, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you, Davina.
We've seen this in Australia.
Yeah, I'm certain. Shoshi, if detained without cause, who defends you under this system?
I don't have an answer for that. I don't know. I've had public defenders before. They're just there. They're just part of it. To keep you detained as long as possible. To keep more money going in, because that's how they're getting paid as well. So I don't know who defends you. I mean, community is important as well, but when you're isolated in a detention center, it's hard to reach out.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Raven, if detained without cause, who defends you under this system? Ooh.
Say it one more
ahead.
time. I apologize. I'm in my basement.
No, you're good. If detained without cause, who defends you under this system?
Whew. Yeah, probably have to be myself until I can get to a lawyer. Or if not, I'll at least try to get my own resources in order to learn. Or I can probably stay ready and, already have those types of resources, like in my brain, memorized.
It's not a bad idea. Thank you, Raven. Jojo, if detained without cause, who defends you under this system?
First of all, myself, but my action would be in whatever little ways, whether it was eye contact, kindnesses to others, anything to create some allies.
Okay. Thank you very much. Loon, if detained without cause, who defends you under this system. And by the way, just to reiterate, the system is authoritarianism.
Yeah, I mean, directly under the system, nobody, but I think that's really the time to be turning to your community for help.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And Kate, I threw you on mute for a second, but I sent you an invite to unmute yourself. If you're detained without cause, who defends you under this system? The system being authoritarianism.
We have had this in Australia, and what they will try to do is completely cut you off from any other citizens. But if you are able to make contact, then regular citizens will fight for you, and also courageous lawyers who will fight for you pro bono. But it will take many years. I agree. Was it Jojo who said that you have to resist and also do small kindnesses in order to defend yourself or protect yourself from the system as well as?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Davina, what must we do to stop this future from happening?
I think it's been said a couple times that like educate ourselves, like share the knowledge that we do, we're able to gain. I think that's one thing is a lot of times we whether intentionally or unintentionally, we hoard a lot of the resources or knowledge that we have. So making sure that it's accessible to everyone and just building community.
Thank you very much, Davina. Shoshi, what must we do to stop this future from happening?
Once again, that's kind of why I'm here, because I'd like to know. I don't have an answer for that one either. I'm sorry.
There's no such thing as a wrong answer, and not knowing is one of the greatest gifts because it gives you the opportunity to learn something. And I'm glad that you're here because until I get shut the hell up, I'm going to keep educating people on what we should be doing to get this to stop. Raven, what must we do to stop this future from happening? Raven? You're muted, honey.
Sorry.
There you are.
Okay, say it again.
What must we do to stop this future from happening?
Whew. Be honest, I'm not sure. I think everything's like kind of moving extremely fast. Just like in the times of the Mustache Man, but a little bit slower, just a little bit, but fast enough. But, I really do think that somebody's got to do something before I go mad.
Yeah, I feel it. Thank you very much, Raven. Jojo.
Thank you.
What must we do to stop this future from happening?
Well, again, for me, first of all, it goes to staying personally strong, meaning well hydrated. You can't take off and run somewhere if you haven't had any water all day. So things that seem very simple, like keeping some raisins and peanuts in your pockets, or in the zipper of your bag. Maybe switch from purses to backpacks or something cute that doesn't look scary like a backpack does to them, I guess. I think it does. And And I think changing the routes that we go, just making everything just harder, like herding cats, where you take a different route to work. If it's possible, take the, inner city train a day or two, take a city bus, switch cars with your sister, take a different route. Just mix it up and be harder to get hold of, everybody.
Spontaneity is definitely helpful.
Harder for ICE to get hold of, but between us, we're looking out for each other, but just making things as disorganized for them as possible.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Jojo. Loon, what must we do to stop this future?
We need to start working together, It's about we the people, not me the person, I feel like. Need to start educating and just building the connections we need.
Thank you very much. And Kate, what must we do to stop this future from happening? Oh, you are muted, Kate. Let me throw an invite.
Sorry about that. Sorry. Why do you say future when it's already happening?
Because we're not quite into the realm of no return. We're almost there.
That's fair. I really liked what Jojo said about basically causing chaos for, ICE, etc. And I think that's key. Talking about what's going on, and doing that in many different ways, including, or even particularly using comedy and satire.
Yes.
Creative ways, because when you're serious, people are like, oh yeah, this person's like so far left, blah, or whatever. But when you introduce an idea through comedy or literature or like a stage play or whatever, it gets under people's skins without them even realizing. So I think creatives and anyone who can challenge the status quo in a creative way, whether that's through art, like drawings, paintings, or satire, I think this is one important key weapon.
Thank you very much, Kate. I'm glad you bring that idea forward. If you stick through the ending monologue here, I have something I want to show to everybody. So,
can I just add? Sorry,
yeah.
So can I just add to that? So I'm Australian, and satire is really big here, and political satire is big. The only reason why I got through 10 years of conservative rule is because of our comedians taking the piss and telling the truth as they took the piss. Do you follow?
I do.
Thank you.
I do indeed.
And yeah, it's an important way to fight. Thank you.
It is, and thank you very much. So I'm going to get through this ending monologue real quick, and then we'll be opening up for open discussion. But before open discussion, I have something I want to show everybody. The truth behind Project 2025 and the detention state it seeks to empower is stark and terrifying. This isn't a plan for governance. It's a blueprint for domination. It's a vision where loyalty replaces law, where fear replaces freedom, and where profit is made not from building up communities, but from breaking them apart. Tonight, we've laid bare how Project 2025 would dismantle our institutions, how ICE's detention machine would become a permanent fixture of oppression, and how the tools of mass incarceration could be turned against any of us who dare to dissent. But we cannot let this future come to pass. We cannot sit back while billionaires, private prison profiteers, and would-be tyrants write our fate. The machinery they are building depends on our silence, on our hopelessness, on our belief that resistance is futile. But history tells us otherwise. Every system of oppression has cracks. Every authoritarian dream has been shattered by the courage of ordinary people who chose to stand up, speak out, and fight back. That is our charge now, to organize in our communities, to demand accountability, to reject fear, to make solidarity louder than the machinery of repression. If we want a future where democracy is more than a hollow word, where no one is caged for profit, where the government serves all of us and not just the powerful few, then the work starts here. It starts with truth. It starts with a refusal. It starts with us. I want to take a moment to thank our incredible panel tonight for lending their voices, their questions, and their courage to this conversation. And to our audience, whether you're tuning in live or watching this later on YouTube, thank you for being here, for listening, for thinking critically, and for staying engaged. Your presence matters, and your voice matters. Now, I'm going to invite everybody, panel, audience, and anyone willing to join in for an open, unprompted discussion. Share your thoughts, your experiences, your fears, your hopes. This space is for all of us. Let's break the silence together. And thank you for joining me on another episode of Interviewing Humanity. I've been Sludge Knuckle, and as always, the fight for truth continues. Now, I have something I'd like to show everybody, if everybody's okay with that. Give me just one moment really quick so I can line it all up. I present to you a future project that will be coming as soon as I can get a cast put together. Come on. Oh yes, I forgot.
Grandmother's musical. No, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, and every damned soul got in between. This ain't your grandmother's musical. No, sir. Step right up. Wipe the soot off your conscience and prepare your fragile little sensibilities for the most forbidden, ferocious, and frankly fucked up night of theater this side of the bread line.
That's right. Coming live from the edge of societal collapse, Interviewing Humanity presents The Cabaret of Collapse, a Sludge Knuckle production.
Woo.
Sweat, blood, and bureaucratic nonsense, featuring all your favorite toe tappers and trauma triggers like Basic Bitch Ballad, a sarcastic waltz through weaponized apathy. Catch these hands, a funk rap riot of white guilt and long overdue ass kickings. Green Curtain, the cabaret showstopper for every mother who said, "Not my baby, you don't."
With surprise appearances by the system, the manager, a child with a broken compass, and you in the mirror. Do you love protest, poverty, punchline